in a country where we are taking photo up with bandits. The government has failed in this in the last 15 years. I can open my phone and read to you tweets of President Tinubu condemning Jonathan.
Guys, Rufai Oseni has done it again. On Arise TV, he didn't sugarcoat a thing. He went straight for the government over the growing insecurity in Nigeria. And honestly, what he said hit deep. While the other Arise TV presenters shared their thoughts, Rufai Oseni jumped in hard, saying, "It's the government's job to fix insecurity in this country. It's a big shame that President Trump is even hearing about the loss of lives happening here." Then, he went straight for President Tinubu. He should do the same things he once condemned Jonathan for. And let's not forget, America's help is never free. It always comes with a price. That part got everyone talking online. Watch this video to the end.
Your take on this story?
Okay. Couple of things. I'll take you back to the late 90s, about 1998, when America first had a law called the International, Religious Freedom Act, where they said there's going to be a list where they put people on countries of concern, and they're going to mete out sanctions against nations that don't uphold religious freedom. America's own point of view is the fact that America emerged as a result of respect for religious freedoms. That act was also upgraded and amended in 2016 with the Mark Wolf Act of Religious Freedom, signed into law by Barack Obama. And the act stipulates that countries that America have put on the list, they can do economic sanctions against them. They never talked about invasion. Secondly, any talk about invasion of a sovereign nation contravenes Charter 2.4 of the United Nations. So those 2 points are clear. You can't invade a sovereign nation without the say-so of the nation. You can talk to the nation to bring you in to help solve problems. But even that has its own implications. Because America does not come and fight for you for free. This morning on my Twitter page, I put the costs that Kuwait had to pay America for the Gulf War between 1990 and 1991. As of 1990 and 1991, Kuwait paid the American government $16 billion. If you adjust that money for inflation today, it's about $40.1 billion. Everything will come with a cost. Yes, we've also talked about rare earth metals, rare earth minerals, that is also here, America's own business and political interests and all of that. But secondly, the point I want to make this morning is this. Because we are a sovereign nation, does not mean we shouldn't stop the killings of people. Isn't it a shame, collective shame, that it took Donald Trump to be able to rile us up for us to be able to have this conversation again? All the killings, irrespective of religion, irrespective of tribe, should people be killed the way they are being killed in this country? And people are not calling a spade a spade. I saw the likes of SH0CK talk this morning when he was saying, America has no right to threaten us, we should call their blood. What? The same SH0CK that talks in support of the criminals that says because they've not been given a better lease of life, that's why they perpetrate these crimes? We live in a country where we are taking photo up with bandits. Section 14 subsection 2B of our constitution says is the role of the government to fix insecurity and get our people secured. The government has failed in this in the last 15 years. I can open my phone and read to you tweets of President Tinubu condemning Jonathan for the slaughtering of Christians then. All we are telling President Tinubu to do this morning is to do the thing you condemn Jonathan for. Enough is enough. Like I said on the table the other day, it's because people close to us have not been killed. If it happens to you, you will speak in a harsher tone than I'm speaking this morning.
All right.
And I'm very sad for us in this country. And the data boys are playing all sorts of politics with it. The banger boys and data boys. Yes, Nigeria should engage. I'm happy that from the president side they're going to engage. But apart from engagement, is it too much to ask for that we should stop this killing once and for all?
All right. Okay, is it too much? Dr. Abati, your take on this?
Many years ago, I think 96, 97, I took a course in American foreign policy process in the Department of Government and Politics of the University of Maryland. Our teacher was a gentleman who had worked in the government in the United States, Odin Carter III. And one of the things we did, we studied under American foreign policy process, that's the title of the course, is that America is not a colonial power. It doesn't conquer countries. And the highlights in terms of what America does, in terms of its foreign policy process, is promoting democracy, human rights, global peace, and all of that. But what we have seen is very surprising. Under President Trump, there's been a lot of contradictions. President Trump has upended the American foreign policy process. Now, where does he derive that power from? For him to declare war or an invasion of a country, he will need to get the approval of Congress. I'm not too sure that Congress, which is divided between Republicans and Democrats, will give him the approval to invade Nigeria. And what I'm trying to point to is the contradiction, the hypocrisy in President Trump's approach to Nigeria. Now, there are more Christians perhaps in Kuwait. He's not saying there is religious persecution in Kuwait. There are Christians in Hamas, in Gaza. He's not fighting on behalf of the Christian Palestinians. He's supporting Israel. So that's not an issue for him. There are Christians in Lebanon. He's not fighting on their behalf. In all of the countries where America has intervened, you see this contradiction. I think President Biden's tried to stay within the framework of the American foreign policy process, but President Trump is emerging as a global dictator, and that is why, not surprisingly, you have on the streets of the United States, no kings here, people protesting. So that dictatorship is extending it. Now, America has always intervened in Africa, in Somalia, between, I think, 2012 and 2014. They exited when it became problematic for them. They wanted to help to ensure peace. America has intervened on humanitarian grounds in Liberia, in Sierra Leone, and all of that. Now you find the United States saying it wants to invade Nigeria. Now, I'm trying to rush my thoughts. Very quickly, an invasion of Nigeria will not be in the interest of Nigeria. And what is the point? It's simply that if America brings drones here, brings, all kinds of things in any part of Nigeria, Nigeria will never be the same. Because no country can survive a religious war. We have seen that in other parts of the world, whether it's Afghanistan or, it's in Lebanon. So we cannot even afford that. And that's why I think President Bola Ahmed Tinubu must act swiftly. Acting swiftly, we have a body called Presidential Advisory Council on foreign relations, or is it international relations? Now, we have those people. We have Chief Emeka Anyauko, who is still alive. We have President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President Olusegun Obasanjo. We have diplomats, experienced people. We have religious leaders. Cardinal Francis Onayeka, Bishop Matthew Kuka. All of these people should be mobilized immediately. And there should be diplomatic engagement. For Nigeria to say, no, it is not true. We're having security challenges in Nigeria. After all, there's religious attacks, yes, by Boko Haram, what Trump calls the Islamist state. Yeah, Professor Zulum can confirm that yes, there is attack. But that attack is not just against Christians. All of us are in this pressure cooker lifestyle that we live in Nigeria. And I think President Tinubu struck the right note by saying, look, Nigeria is ready to work with the United States, to help us. After all, terrorism, banditry, being international, cross-border challenge. And the Nigerian government has always been asking for international help, either from the British or the French or the United States or from, regional countries within West Africa. If America invades Nigeria, it's not just only Nigerians that will suffer. The whole of West Africa will be destabilized. Okay, let's go a bit further. Now, Trump is fighting South Africa, trying to divide the country. Trump is now also fighting Nigeria on details that he doesn't understand. And I've seen some of them, Congressman Moore, Congressman Cole, Senator Ted Cruz, all these parachute politicians. In fact, the thing is so embarrassing that even Nicki Minaj put her mouth in the matter, saying, there's no religious freedom in Nigeria. Can Nicki Minaj just concentrate on Anaconda obligations and not talk about Nigeria? So all kinds of characters are talking. Now, part of the problem we have here is that even Nigerians, there are fifth columnists among us. If you go and check, one former governor said, Tinubu will not get second term. Is this about regime change? Is this an attempt to demonize the Tinubu administration? To stop or to influence the process of 2027? That's the question right there. And the fifth columnists who are behind this, need to be cautioned. Freedom of expression, all the rights under Chapter 4, they have limits. And this is the time for Nigerians to be responsible and to know that the sovereignty of their country is important. People who have been gifted with a microphone, whether they are politicians or public affairs commentators, should be responsible in what they say. There's a book by Francis S. Merrill that talks about responsible journalism, responsible commentary. And I think at this time, President Tinubu needs all the support that he can get. And, he should be supported. But we're not just supporting him, we're supporting Nigeria. Finally, some people have said that this is about nemesis. In 2014, 2015, these same APC people, they went to America and said there is religious persecution in Nigeria. Christians are being killed in Nigeria. America should do something about President Jonathan's administration. Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's the God of Jonathan that is now responding to them. So it looks like nemesis. But this is our country, and we have an obligation to defend this country. The same Americans, when America is at war, you see that all of them will come together. They will put Nigeria first. This is a test about the policy of putting Nigeria first. All of us are in distress, whether we are Christians or animists or Muslims, and that's the point that I've seen Omoyele Sowore making. That, look, what we need is good governance. If this country is properly governed, if this country is at peace, Rufai just quoted section 14 sub 2 B of the Nigerian Constitution. Security and welfare of the people. It is a reminder, finally, that the Tinubu administration needs to do more to secure this environment, to make it peaceful. But I don't subscribe to the argument that America is coming for our oil. America, they are even supplying crude oil to Dangote refinery. They are not even buying our gas from Nigeria LNG. They are getting their gas from elsewhere. But there is a complexity. There are contradictions that we need to address. So some people say, they are coming for our resources, as they did in Libya, Syria, and other parts of the world. No. We should not demarcate our country, but we should support government. And President Tinubu should seek help. There are people in this country, I don't even know whether the Presidential Council on International Relations has been constituted. Yeah. If it has not been constituted, now is the time. We have people who have experience. We need adults in the room, not the small people around who think that they know everything. We need adults in the room. It should call for help from Obasanjo, from Anyanku, from T.Y. Danjuma, from Babangida, from all the people. This is the mess that APC has created, and they should correct it by acting swiftly.
Yes. Action is what Nigerians are calling for. Like I said earlier, there have been a number of responses, reactions following the designation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern, and then further on the diplomatic conversation or undiplomatic conversations have happened between the countries of both, presidents of both countries. Now let's start looking at solutions. But I think first of all, in terms of solutions, it's a good time and a good thing to call for Nigerians to be united and not, speak against. But this is why consistently before this has happened, we have talked about the fragile relationship along ethnic and religious lines that this administration must fix. It was politicized heavily, and when it came to head, this administration did not do enough to correct or to address it. We said it on this table that even if it took the National Orientation Agency to promote togetherness, unity, oneness, speaking with one voice, now that we have challenges, we are now running helter-skelter and asking Nigerians to speak with one voice. Sometimes it's better to be proactive than reactive. And so now asking Nigerians to be patriotic, asking Nigerians to speak up for Nigeria, when the warnings had happened right before to say that bring people together so that when it's time, it will be genuine and you're not having to try to get people together when it wouldn't work. And that's why some people, if you see the reactions, some of them funny, some of them lighthearted, some of them supporting this move. And of course, it's really largely from a place of ignorance. But it also speaks very clearly as to how disunited we are as a nation. And if there's one lesson from this, it is that we must fix that problem, because it works during politics season for a few, but when it comes to crunch matters, we would need people to really come together united and not begin to bring ethnic slurs, religious divides when it comes to issues like this. So let's look forward in terms of what does action look like. We must have a democratic and security response to this. Sorry, diplomatic and security response to this. Already in the news this morning, I talked about how the presidency was intensifying efforts to have diplomatic conversations with the United States of America. To be fair, again, this is a bit too late. When the Senator Ted Cruz had raised the issue, rather than propaganda and trying to push narratives around, oh, this is not true, or burying our head in the sand, we ought to have taken action. We ought to have begun diplomatic efforts to ensure that this narrative is corrected with facts, not with just, a nice story or just writing or releasing statements. With facts. If they're claiming that Christians are being killed, then they must present a counterfact to the alternative, that not just Christians, but it is an issue around terrorism. Then we had an opportunity long before now, when the Christians in the Middle Belt were crying out to say that they were killing them. The pastors were coming out to make videos. The response was not sufficient. Unfortunately, it's taking the America's America's statement to begin to take action. Why did we not put our house in order in the first instance? And now we're reacting and responding. I wish we had taken the opportunity when the issue was brought to light, especially by some people who were victims of these killings, and the Nigerian government acted. Now, following that, beyond the diplomatic, we've heard that the news around a meeting confirmed is not true. I think it's important to say that, but the Nigerian government is working very hard to ensure that they open that channel of communication with the United States and ensure that a diplomatic conversation is had. Beyond that, I think it's also time we spoke about representatives diplomatically across countries in the world. We still do not have ambassadors in the United States, ambassadors in other countries of the world as we speak. The president will now have to take serious attention or pay serious attention to for Nigeria's foreign policy, Nigeria's foreign diplomacy. We do not have to get to this kind of issue or point before we begin to move. And so maybe it's time now that the president makes the appointment that a number of people have been calling for a long time. Now, in terms of our security response, the most important and powerful response to this is to actually fix the problem. Yes, the president gave marching orders to the new service chiefs that they must tackle this plague that has belabored Nigeria and just affected our image economically, security-wise in many areas. I believe it's high time that beyond paying lip service to it, that we actually put our boots on the ground and fix the issue. Nigerians are dying, and it is quite shameful that the outside world has to tell us our own problems when it has been glaring all along. Thousands of Nigerians are being killed. Every other day we keep reporting stories of people being killed, whether in the mosque or in the church or in areas, and yet nothing concrete has been done about this.
But what do you think? Did Rufai Oseni go too far, or was he just being real? Tell me in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more trending updates.